When your job or life resembles a movie that you've watched. See, my ideal job would have been to be a rock and roll star, playing in a band, touring the world. Anyway, I practice a few chords. I've got a decent voice. I knew plenty of people that were in bands that, needed members. That's what I wanted. But in real life, as we know, money, mate, we need money. I needed a real job. And at college, my parents, mum and dad, they always expected me to, black cockatoos. Wow, hybrid. I had a landscaping job with a friend of mine, and his parents owned the business. I do landscaping on school holidays, and weekdays before school, before college, I was cleaning supermarkets with another friend of mine whose parents owned that contract. And but my parents used to say to me, this is good, you're working part-time, but don't let this be permanent. Because we came to Australia in the 60s, we worked very, very hard, and you were born here. You can read, you can write. There's no excuses. You look out into the world here, there's plenty of opportunities here in Australia. No excuses. I said, yeah, it'll be all right. So I was applying and trying, and I needed a real job. But from some of the past books that I'd read, I'd heard that job stood for just over broke or jump out of bed. That's what I knew it as. So that's the last thing I wanted, jumping out of bed in the morning. I'm not saying jobs are bad at all, but I just had high expectations, my own business, something. Anyway, another book that I'd read was Robert Kiyosaki, and he had said, go to school, get good grades, and get a job. Go to school, get good grades, get a job. Pick that up. I think it's from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about that in there. And I'd read that book, and I thought, oh no, I'm going down that classic path. Go to school, get good grades, get a job. It's what my parents wanted, but was it what I wanted? I applied for a few jobs. I got a job at the bank. And this was pretty good. I was going good for a while, but then one of my tasks was to balance the debit and credit slips. Every Friday I had to balance the debit and credit slips, make sure they were like green and pink slips, and make sure the week's takings, they had to balance out. If they didn't balance out, I would have to walk around looking in the compactuses, looking in the filing cabinets, trying to find out where the heck are these slips gone. And then, because I had to balance, sometimes it'd take half an hour, sometimes it'd take 20 minutes, sometimes I'd get it right straight away. But then I would have to pass those results on to the other lady. And if I was late with mine, she would be late, and then it'd hold everyone up. So this was happening, and then got to the stage where I was arguing, and the boss had come up and lean over and say, oh, Bruno, the debit and credit slip's going to balance up this week. We would like to go home early today. I'd appreciate if you got on to that. Then she would start as well. Have you done it? Have you done it? And then she'd do that rolling her eyes thing. Sometimes they would have to help me find it. She'd go, look, there's one here. You didn't check this cabinet. Look, there's one over there. And then finally one day, I was going to crack. I thought, no, if this doesn't balance this week, I'm out of here. And I had the calculator out. It was all even. And then it balanced. No, it didn't balance. And I said, that's it. I've had enough. she's going to start, he's going to come back, I'm going to hold them up, they're going to blame it on me. So what I did, I got my my lunch bag, I got my cigarettes. I told her, oh, I'm just going out for a quick cigarette break, I'll be back. But no, I packed up, went outside, had lit up the smoke, you know, had the cigarette, then I looked around, took another step, and slowly, mate, I was off into the sunset, as I would say, never to look back. Like, and I was so relieved, mate, I left like a whole lot of baggage that left my shoulders. I went home, told my parents, oh, I was off on a break for a while. But then they started ringing up, and I was sleeping all day. I was sleeping until 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Then my mates would ring me up, oh, you coming out tonight? Yeah, I'll be coming out tonight. Go out all hours of the night, come back 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, I was coping with it like that. I was drinking, smoking, yahooing around. Went on for a while, but eventually they started ringing my parents up, and, you know, they found out I was in trouble. Big mess. I did have expectations, like I thought, oh, good, I've got this job, and I was dressed up nicely, I had my nice tie, had pants on, no dirt on me, and I thought, yeah, I'll climb my way up, I'll get that, you know, they'll put me on a course, and slowly I'll get to the top, and then I'll get a house and this and that. But nah, my dreams were crushed with the job experience, my first job experience anyway. Now, I was applying for more jobs, and then I got a job at the Department of Defence. Same sort of clerical work. It was all going fine until I wanted to go on a cruise at the end of the year. My friends had booked it in, we'd booked it in, and then they start telling me, oh no, you can't have that time off. No, that's the busiest time. I thought, I've already paid the deposit. They said, oh, can you rearrange it, this and that. Bang. When the cruise time came, I was out of there as well. I didn't care about my super or anything. I said they can have it. I was off on my 2-week cruise, and that's how it was. Came back, no job again. One day, and then I'm at the DVD shop, and I hired this movie, and that movie was Office Space. Do you remember Office Space? Peter Gibbons, Samir, Michael Bolton. Oh, I watched Office Space. I didn't leave from there. I said I was glued to watching it because I couldn't believe how this film was duplicating my life at the time. You know, Peter Gibbons had the same problems as I did, same issues. You know, he would be there in the office, but he had TPS reports, and his boss would come up to him. What was his boss's name? Lumberg. Lumberg would come up and lean over the desk. Ah, Peter, about those TPS reports, yeah, we've got a cover note with them, yeah, and by the way, I want you to work tomorrow, you know, I want you, yeah, that if you could do that, yeah, that would be great, yeah. And mate, the guy would be there, Peter Gibbons would be there depressed. He's like, oh, I hate my life, I hate it. And I could relate to that at the time. I was going, shit, that's exactly me. A lot of things in that film were exactly me. You know, even to this day, my kids give me presents, office space presents, like remind me to show you when I get home. The Samir and all that, and they watched it, and even they said, that's you, Dad, that's you. He even looks like you. Ha 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 ha. Later on in life, my father-in-law says to me, oh, have you tried construction? I said, no. Do you want to have a go? I said, yeah, all right. So he took me to a building site. I saw these people everywhere, big hole in the ground, construction workers. I said, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. It's the longest job I've lasted in, 17, 18 years straight. You know, it's almost like I needed it. You know, the simple tasks, the whole thing. It's like it was completely opposite to what I was doing. And then I noticed too, by just moving around all day at work, I was getting my dopamine oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all those chemicals, all those brain chemicals, just by movement, constant movement, because you're never still. You're never still there. Progression all the time. Things have to, you know, if work's not done there, oh, hell breaks loose. And also, I was going to different locations. You know, 3 months you might be here, another 2 months you might be at another site. Then imagine being in the office and they tell you, oh, pack up your stuff, you're going here, you're going there. It's totally different mentality, different everything. Also, there were a lot of immigrants at work, and I learned how to communicate with them. And I know I was getting my hours of exercise every day that they recommend. You know, they recommend you walking on that. You get more than enough there. I was feeling happier, you know, and I was able to communicate. At the beginning, like there was some, the Asian gibrockers, you know, they were working hard, and I had to learn how to communicate, like, oh, break my English down so they would understand. You know, everybody was working hard on site. Everybody, you know, and the sites were coming up quicker and quicker. It's like something's there within a month. You know, do you understand it? Quicker and quicker. The brickies are working. I'm working hard. Form workers are working hard. The concreters are working hard. Everybody's working hard. But in the back of my mind, you know what I was thinking? When I was at this webinar, there was a guy, I will call this guy Larry, and he said on stage, because he used to be a construction worker, he was a long-haired hippie, and he actually said on stage, if construction were, no, what did he say? If hard work made you rich, all construction workers would be millionaires. And man, that made a lot of sense. And I used to actually think about it, because you can see how hard people work there, yet a lot of people are still broke and struggling on a building site. And that makes perfect sense. So with that in mind, and also there was another guy, Jim Rohn. Have you heard of Jim Rohn? He said, work on yourself harder than you do on your job. And I was doing that. I was listening to, like, I don't know, self-development tapes and, you know, investing in myself. Like other people, they get their pay. Some workers, they get their pay. The first thing they do, cigarettes, case of beer on their shoulders, and that's it for them. That's their goals. And then maybe poker machines. I don't know what it is, but me, I was investing my money into myself. What else could I learn? Like I was, I learned to really be able to communicate with all the immigrants, because, you know, my parents being immigrants, and they had the immigrant mentality too. That's why they work so hard. They'll work until their bones drop off. You know, so from dealing with my parents, I was able to transfer that with dealing with all the immigrants at work, and I had no problems with them. You know, I could leave all my tools there over the weekend and no one would steal anything. The construction job was a little bit different. I couldn't just leave, because by this stage I've already had kids and a mortgage, and you need money, so it's harder for you to quit. You see, it's harder for you to quit. When I was single and by myself, I didn't like something, that's it. Bam, I was off. But when people are relying on you, you can't do that. Hop on to the next stepping stone. Look. Hopping onto the next stepping stone, breaking through my fears. And that's like what I'm doing now, making videos. There's no way I would have made a video 3 years ago. No way. People. Doesn't matter where you go. Look. See? You try to do a video somewhere and still somebody will come. Something will always come and try to stop you. I went out here, said, no, there's no one out here. Bam, 2 people appear. See, there'll always be obstacles. Also with construction, like, we have to avoid the silica dust. It's called silicosis. People have been getting it. Silicosis of the lungs, where your lungs harden up and eventually you suffocate and die. They call it the next asbestos. Remember the asbestos fibres? But yeah, I've been wearing masks, you know, the P2 masks, full face masks, you know, for the last 15 years. So when, like the Australian fires were on, the people were running around with masks, and there was smoke everywhere you'd look. There was, even inside your own house, there was a film of smoke. Yeah, that's when the whole of Australia was on fire pretty much. But to me, I was already accustomed to that, because to me it felt like I was at work, you know, dealing with silica dust. Even with Corona, people wearing masks. Saw this guy with his mask just upside down the other way. Like, I thought, oh man, but I'm already accustomed to it. To me, it's like work has gotten me used to many, many things that I didn't realise that I could transfer into real life. Back to Office Space though, the movie Office Space. There's another guy, Milton, you know, this four-eyed guy, thick glasses. He'd be like, you know, they'd always move his desk around on him, take his red stapler, his favourite red stapler, because no one really liked him. And whenever there was cake, he would never get a piece. Then he said, oh, if they move my desk one more time, I'm going to quit. You know, I'm going to, you know, and that's what I did. It was pretty much the same. If my debit and credit statements didn't balance, I quit. Well, I didn't quit, I just walked out. Also, Peter Gibbons, you know, it was Monday, and he's standing in the office, all depressed, and this lady comes past. She goes, oh, somebody's got a case of the Mondays, you know. And then he was just depressed, looking at her. And me, I have Monday-Itis. Yeah, a lot of my life, whenever it's Monday, I always say, it's Monday-Itis day. You know, many times I've said that. That's another thing in the movie. I couldn't believe it. The Monday-Itis. You know, it's just like, yeah, your body kick-starting for the week, another week, you know. So yeah, Peter Gibbons, Samir and Michael Bolton, three of them, they knew they had to break. How were they going to break out of work? They started thinking outside the box, but Michael developed a computer program that he said they could install, and he would round off the pennies, and they would put that money into a separate bank account. You know, and over time, they would become rich without the company knowing. They would rip them off, you know, penny by penny, just rounding it off. But guess what happened? They implemented the computer program. It had like a glitch in it. They ended up taking out 300,000 in one go or overnight. And they were panicked. Oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to put the money back? Yeah. How was I going to break out of work? You know what I did? The internet. First thing I did, I was in the same situation as Peter Gibbons, Michael Bolton and them, except I wanted to do things the legal way. Far out. So first thing I did was found out about domain names. I never knew what a domain name was, and I bought my first domain name, I think 2008, 2009. I bought my own name. I did a search. I couldn't believe how many people had the same name as me, as I do. So I bought my own name.com, and I bought my first business name that I use to this very day. What else? I looked into affiliate programs, selling t-shirts, tried selling some domain names, learned to use WordPress, like all these options I came up with trying to break out of that work cycle. But I wasn't going to do a Michael Bolton job like he did, you know, create a legal something. Nah, I want to do things the right way. When I think about it, I had to learn a lot of stuff. You know, learning how to use Twitter, personal branding, looked into, like all sorts of things. Blogs. I'm still going. It's a never-ending process. Yeah, it's never ending. I missed out on a lot of parties to learn this stuff. But I know it's going to be worth it in the end. It's going to be worth it. There's another part in the movie too. Peter Gibbons, he's asking Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston, he's asking her out on a date. And then he says, oh, how about come back to my place? We can watch kung fu movies. And she's like, kung fu movies? I love kung fu movies. And guess what? I like kung fu movies. I love Bruce Lee movies, Jackie Chan, all that. Jean-Claude Van Damme, all that stuff. Bloodsport, I loved all that. Another thing in that movie. But not only Office Space. There are other good films too that I can relate to, like, The Matrix, Groundhog Day, The Karate Kid, They Live. Man, there's a lot of films I could talk about that are very similar situations. And at the end of the movie, where do you think you see Peter Gibbons working, huh? Where's Peter Gibbons working? He gets a job on a construction site. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Another thing in the movie, and you see him at the end with a shovel shoveling. He got the job through one of his flatmates, or one of his flatmates got him the job, and he's happy there shoveling dirt, peace of mind. You can see that he's happy for once. He's happy, living the simple life. And then two of his job colleagues come past, Michael Bolton and Samir, and they ask him, do you want us to get you in? Do you want us to get you in this other company, Inatel? And he says, no thanks, And that's another thing, you see, the rich build networks. Robert Kiyosaki also said that. The rich build networks while normal people look for work. So when I think about my jobs, I got them through contacts. The landscaping job was a friend of mine. The cleaning job was through a friend of mine. The one at the bank, that was through somebody that I knew. The construction site job, someone that I knew. So sometimes you lead. Another lesson I learned out of all this is, like, sometimes you can live a complicated life. Like me working at the bank with numbers that I found that I hated number crunching. Peter Gibbons with his, case of the Mondays, all that. Sometimes you got to do something different to, it's like defragmenting your mind, doing simple tasks. Moving timbers from point A to point B. I found that relieving. I didn't have to think about anything else. Just move from that there to there. Very simple tasks. It helped me rebuild my mind. I needed that. Simple tasks. Cover the wall with concrete. Put these frames up. Make a deck. Simple things that make a lot of sense in the end. The power of decisions. When I made that decision, I've had enough. I've had enough of this decision that can change your whole life. It did for me. That caused me to walk out of the bank job. So when you get that, I've had enough. There's no turning back. You can go forwards. Other doors are opening up for you. I also noticed the same problems coming back in a different format. Like at the bank, I had that problem. I moved to defense, and similar issues will come up, because it's like, I know, you got to solve your own riddle. You got to solve that riddle, and that's the only thing that'll get you going ahead, solving your own riddle. I've known people that, they moved away. They go, we hate it here. They have so many problems here. So they'd move away, out of state somewhere else. And guess what? In 5 years' time, they came back, because where they moved to, guess what? All the same problems and situations started developing, because they never solved their own riddle. So they're back again, running away from their problems. One day you're going to have to face it. Face it head on. But with every job, with any job, there's always something that, there's always going to be something that you have to do that you don't want to do. Every job. So, you know, even with this, making videos. I don't like making videos, but I'm learning to adapt. I'm adapting to it. And I know by doing it, I'm getting ahead. I'm breaking through the fears and I'm getting ahead. Slowly but surely. Getting ahead. Yeah, one door shuts, another door opens. That's it, isn't it? One door shuts, another one opens. And at work, there's been many cases where the plan, like in one of the basements, you got the car basements, there was meant to be a few doorways in there, but they weren't there, they weren't in the plan. So what happened? I got the 9-inch grinder and I cut the door out and I made a door. Sometimes you got to cut your own doorway in, cut it in, make it happen, make it happen. See, I was meant to do this video at home, but because of distractions, my son's friends coming over, some guy's door knocking, I had to pivot and readjust. But look, I ended up out here in nature doing the video. So, like Jim Rohn said, it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Office Space, Peter Gibbons. What's the paper gone? Typical, huh? Yeah, the quote from Office Space. We don't have a lot of time on this earth. We weren't meant to spend it this way. Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles, staring at computer screens all day, filling out useless forms and listening to 8 different bosses drone on about mission statements. Oh, when I heard that in the movie too, I thought, wow, because I could translate that even to my construction job. Sometimes, you know, there's 4 or 5 different foremen all telling you something to do, when I know what's best to do, but you have to listen to them because they're in a, you know, higher level, so you have to listen to them and do it their way, even though you know it's not the right way or the fastest way. Anyway, this is Bruno signing off. Thank you for watching or listening, and I'll catch you on the next vid. The Office Space presents. Have a look here. There we go. Peter Gibbons, or should I say Bruno Gibbons. Oh, I got a case of the Mondays. Going to work all depressed at his job. There's Michael Bolton, the guy who created the computer code to round off numbers. There's Samir as well. Bloody good movie. This photo, that's me at about 25. I was driving the Avon getaway car. Stephanie had to do what she had to do to make money. That was sell Avon. Ding dong, Avon calling. And that's how we'd get it done. Bit of teamwork. She had to do what she had to do to support the family. And this guy here, Joseph, one of my best mates from college. Yeah, one of my best mates from 87. Yeah, met him in 87. Hung out with him. He's one of the squarest guys that I know. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, really polite. You know, wakes up one Saturday morning, bam, massive heart attack at 46 years old. Never saw him again. 2 years ago. Just like Peter Gibbons said, we don't have much time on this earth. You know, who knows when your number is up? Who really knows what day, time, place, whatever. So if you know what your purpose is, if you know if you've got a job to do, go ahead and just start doing it. Start today. Look how dirty that is. All that Could have been in my lungs. And it's Monday too, which means Monday-Itis. You get up in the morning and it's Monday-Itis day. Yeah. Buildings appearing, everyone's working hard, yet none of us are millionaires. Isn't that strange?